for as long as she could remember, Emily had been enthralled by unsolved mysteries. Not the ones with obvious suspects or missing clues, but tales that defied normal logic, whispers of places, events, or presences that flitted beyond rational explanation. So when she heard about a neighborhood that occasionally manifested during heavy fog, then vanished without a trace, she assumed it was just another local myth. People called it the neighborhood not on any map. Some insisted they'd glimpsed faint street lamps and houses in the swirling white haze, only for it all to disappear at dawn. Others swore family members who took a shortcut on a foggy night never returned, rumored to have become lost in those spectral streets. At first, the story felt too bizarre for Emily to accept. She was a budding journalist interning at a mid-sized newspaper in the city of Blackbridge, a place that rarely tolerated outlandish tales without proof. But the rumor's persistence intrigued her. Multiple older residents repeated it with a grave seriousness. They said the ephemeral district lay somewhere near the southwestern outskirts. Once you stepped past a certain block or corner in the fog, you found yourself in a labyrinth of silent roads, half-lit houses with boarded windows, and no route out. They described a hush overshadowing it, intangible watchers behind decaying curtains. Any attempt to backtrack led only to new roads, new corners, never returning to the real world. Emily's rational mind balked. How could an entire neighborhood appear and vanish? Perhaps it was a mundane phenomenon, illusions formed by thick fog, reminiscent of old architecture, or a confusion of side roads that gave an impression of stepping into an uncharted area. Yet the rumor contained an aura of genuine dread. She found references to a handful of missing person reports that correlated with nights of heavy fog, all unsolved. The city's official stance was that the missing must have run away or become victims of accidents. Locals who believed the rumor argued they'd been devoured by the nameless labyrinth. Emily, only half convinced, decided to investigate. She had no idea that in doing so, she might come dangerously close to stepping into the hush-laden streets herself, risking her own ability to return. Digging into the city archives, Emily expected to find references to an old, demolished neighborhood or incomplete records describing a place that once existed. But search after search yielded nothing about any southwestern lost district. The official maps for the region were consistent, containing only industrial zones, a few small suburbs, and a new commercial development. There was zero sign of a labyrinth of streets unaccounted for. Yet local legends insisted that the fog-bound roads had existed decades ago, some even swearing they'd visited them briefly as children or heard from relatives who got trapped for hours before escaping at dawn. Emily found cryptic accounts in local online forums. One post from 8 years back detailed how, on a particularly foggy night, a father driving home took a seemingly normal turn onto a side street. The next thing he knew, the road turned into a row of dilapidated Victorian houses. No residents around. Street signs blank or missing. He drove in circles, every turn leading to new, unrecognizable blocks. Only when the sun rose did the fog lift, revealing he was back near a major highway. He insisted the entire experience felt surreal, yet his sense of time indicated hours of wandering. Many commenters wrote it off as a dream or misinterpretation. Others chimed in with "I heard that too" remarks. Among the older generation, Emily found one man, Mr. Redwood, who claimed that in his youth, a friend tried exploring the phantom neighborhood, never returned. Redwood believed these vanished roads might be cursed by an ancient presence. He couldn't recall specifics, just a warning that once the fog rolled in, the caretaker of that domain enticed curious souls with a flicker of half-lit windows, beckoning them deeper, disorienting them until they were lost forever. Emily recognized how similar this caretaker concept was to typical ghost or demon lore, some malevolent entity using illusions to trap victims. Redwood concluded with, "Don't ever walk into thick fog near that side of town. You might not come out." Emily grew more determined. She'd either debunk the rumor or confirm it with her own eyes. Through a tip from a library clerk, Emily arranged a discreet meeting with Ms. Harrington, an older woman rumored to have escaped that labyrinth decades ago. Ms. Harrington was reluctant but eventually agreed to talk in her modest living room. She recalled being a teenager on a winter night, the city swamped by an unseasonably dense fog. She and a cousin, bored, decided to roam the southwestern outskirts, looking for a rumored shortcut. Instead, they stepped onto a road that neither recognized. The street was lined with tall, leaning houses, windows dark, front porches deserted. They wandered, thinking it was an old neighborhood, but each time they tried turning back, the roads twisted, leading them deeper. No living soul emerged, just an oppressive hush and glimpses of curtains shifting in upper windows. She insisted they walked for hours, hearing faint footsteps behind them, but never seeing a pursuer. They tried to check phone lines, but the houses had no visible numbers or mailboxes. The hush wore down their nerves, illusions forming in the corners of their vision, a childlike figure on a stoop, a dim street lamp flickering. Eventually, near dawn, Miss Harrington's cousin vanished around a corner, and she never saw him again. Panicked, Miss Harrington kept walking until the sun rose. The fog receded, and she found herself back on a normal city street. The cousin was presumed missing. Miss Harrington claimed no official record matched the labyrinth she described. She parted with a trembling voice. "You can't outsmart it. If the fog domain chooses you, you might not see dawn." Emily left shaken. Miss Harrington's sincerity was undeniable. The caretaker demon or presence controlling the labyrinth, the hush, appeared in every rumor. If that hush overshadowed reason, it might disorient travelers, snaring them in illusions. For Emily, the question was how to investigate without risking a one-way ticket into oblivion. She decided on a careful approach, a quick drive at the southwestern perimeter during a predicted heavy fog, with a friend accompanying, emergency gear on hand, turning back at the first sign of odd roads. She'd keep a phone GPS open, if it functioned at all in that hush-laden environment. On a drizzly Tuesday, the forecast predicted thick overnight fog. Emily enlisted her coworker, Terrence, for help. He was an ex-photographer turned data clerk, carrying decent camera equipment and a healthy skepticism. They set out around 10 p.m., city lights dimming behind them, aiming for the southwestern outskirts. Past the busy roads, the buildings grew sparser, street lamps fewer. By 11 p.m., the swirling fog had thickened considerably, turning familiar roads into ghostly corridors. Emily drove slowly, phone map open, Terrence scanning for any unusual street sign or unmarked turn. They found a standard intersection labeled Redwood Lane, nothing ominous. But as they proceeded, the phone GPS glitched. A mild flutter. The hush in the air increased, as if outside sound muffled. Terrence muttered that maybe they should turn back. Then, a side road on the left caught their eye, no sign. No distinct markings. Partially hidden by trees. The phone map showed no road there. Emily recognized the rumored phenomenon, a street not on any map. Her heart sped up. She braked, uncertain whether to turn in. Terrence, swallowing, said, "Should we just take a quick look?" Emily nodded, curiosity overriding caution. They eased onto the side road. Instantly, the hush intensified. The phone's GPS lost signal. The air grew colder, and a row of unfamiliar houses emerged from the fog. overshadowed by large trees. Their architectural style looked old. Battered siding. Windows dark. Emily's nerves spiked. She'd never known these houses existed. Terrence snapped pictures, capturing a pale glow from the street lamp overhead that flickered in and out. Every house's front yard looked unkempt. Thick weeds. Battered fences. No signs of modern life. The hush pressed on their ears, as though listening for them to venture deeper. They advanced another block. Phone flashlight illuminating the swirling white. Emily realized they'd left the main city behind in a manner that felt abrupt. No signs indicated normal roads. No side street names. She tried to keep track. Left turn from Redwood, then a right. But the hush and the endless row of decaying houses disoriented her. After a few minutes, Terrence said, "This is bizarre. Let's turn around." She tried, but at the first intersection they found, the street signs were blank. The layout didn't match the path they'd come from. She turned left, expecting to see the main road. Instead, they emerged onto another silent block of identical houses, each set in oppressive gloom. The hush grew stifling. Every attempt to relocate the turn they took resulted in new corners, new stretches of old houses. Terrence and Emily realized in alarm that Miss Harrington's story was unfolding for them. They had inadvertently stepped into the caretaker's labyrinth. The phone's map and compass displayed scrambled or contradictory directions. Street after street. No sign of an exit. Time ticked to midnight. Terrence's anxiety soared. He insisted they check the houses for help. Emily hesitated. The rumor said watchers might lurk inside. But the hush battered logic. They decided to knock on at least one door, selecting a house with a faint porch light flicker. They approached. The hush weighed on them. Intangible. Terrence tried the doorbell. No response. He knocked. The door creaked open an inch. A stench of stale air wafted out. Inside lay only darkness. Emily called. "Hello?" Silence. She glimpsed a hallway with old wallpaper peeling. The hush almost rang in her ears. Senses screaming. She turned away. Terrence retreated too. This place was no normal dwelling. Resuming their car, they tried reversing, but each turn led to a dead-end street or a circle leading back to the same block. Once or twice, they spotted silhouettes crossing a corner, but each time they chased, it vanished. The hush contorted their sense of direction. Headlights revealed drifting shapes in the fog, figures, fleeing view. Terrence captured fleeting glimpses, half-broken windows, glimpses of eyes behind curtains. The caretaker's illusions might be weaving a net to keep them from escaping. They circled aimlessly, nearing panic. Finally, they realized they needed a calmer approach. They parked near a relative landmark, a house with a sagging mailbox, and walked a short distance on foot, mapping each intersection carefully with pen and paper. The hush thickened, each street more dismal than the last. A random sign read Crossroad ST, though the letters were half gone. They turned back to confirm directions, and found the road behind them had changed layout. Terrence cussed. Phone battery draining. Their notes seemed worthless. Each route shifted behind them, as if the caretaker demon toyed with the environment. As 2 a.m. approached, the hush sharpened, intensifying illusions. Emily felt faint footsteps behind them. Terrence glimpsed a woman's figure on a porch, wearing vintage clothes, expression blank, beckoning with a slow hand. The hush overshadowed them, as if urging them forward. Terrence nearly complied, walking 2 steps closer before Emily grabbed him. The figure vanished. Houses blurred. They realized the caretaker demon might adopt illusions to lure them deeper. Miss Harrington's warnings rang in Emily's head, You can't outsmart it. If it chooses you, you might not see dawn. Desperate, they stumbled upon a small, dimly lit park at the center of the Phantom District, a courtyard with a rusted swing set. Fog enveloped everything except a flickering lamppost. They paused to regroup, hoping daybreak might break the caretaker's illusions. Terrence's phone read 2:30 a.m. The hush persisted, devouring normal night ambience. Suddenly, from across the courtyard, a shape glided, a tall figure in old-fashioned attire, face shrouded by the swirling vapor. The caretaker demon? Emily felt intangible dread. The figure advanced with a silent gait, each step matched by the hush intensifying. Terrence tried shining his phone flashlight, but the beam seemed absorbed by the fog. The caretaker extended an arm. Emily felt a swirl of cold wind around them. Illusions of rotted alligator forms flickering in corners. The caretaker might be multiple presences. The hush hammered her mind, urging her to follow. She forced a scream. "No, we want out." Terrence clutched her shoulder, half entranced, half terrified. The caretaker hovered closer, as if deciding whether to claim them. Then a muted stirring from overhead, thunder rumbled. Possibly dawn or a weather shift approached. The caretaker shape froze, gave a silent hiss, and receded into the swirling mist. The hush lessened fractionally. Sensing a chance, Emily pulled Terrence along. They ran blindly across the courtyard, following a half-lit side street that might lead to the real city. Gradually, the hush dissipated, the houses taking on more modern appearances. Finally, at a corner, they recognized a main thoroughfare's traffic signals, the city's real lights. The caretaker demon had lost hold. At 4 a.m., they emerged onto a normal street. The fog parted enough to reveal the skyline of Blackbridge in the distance. Panting with relief, they found their parked car near Redwood Lane, exactly where they started hours ago. The caretaker's labyrinth had circled them back. Terrence's phone read 4:10 a.m. Nearly dawn. They realized they'd survived with no injuries other than frayed nerves. Each step away from that ephemeral district felt like reclaiming reality. They collapsed into the car, hearts pounding. Terrence teared up, muttering, "We almost got stuck." Emily shook, recalling illusions of watchers and that caretaker figure. She realized they were lucky to not vanish like so many rumored victims. The caretaker demon might be undone for now, or simply retreated until the next thick fog. They parted ways at sunrise, each reeling from the experience. Emily felt compelled to write about it, but realized no official outlet would accept her story without corroboration. Nonetheless, she typed a private log describing the labyrinth's shifting streets, the hush, the caretaker. She ended with a caution: let the next would-be explorers beware. Once the caretaker invites you in, you may never see the real city again. Over the following weeks, Emily and Terrence tried to rationalize the labyrinth. Could it have been mass hallucination triggered by exhaustion? A rare weather event distorting perception? They each recognized intangible details, like the caretaker's illusions, pushed the phenomenon beyond standard illusions. Emily felt sure they'd encountered a genuine supernatural dimension, forced open by the caretaker demon. The hush overshadowed logic, warping road geometry that lined up with older accounts. Emily confided in Ms. Harrington about the night's ordeal. Harrington nodded knowingly, adding that the caretaker's labyrinth might be partially anchored in leftover spiritual trauma from an older settlement or undone tragedy. She believed each new wave of missing persons fed it, granting it more illusions. Harrington was relieved they escaped, though she warned the caretaker might remain potent, waiting for future attempts. A mild comfort was that dawn always seemed to break the illusions. Harrington guessed the caretaker's realm needed the midnight hush to sustain itself. Emily considered launching a public campaign to block any further development near Redwood Lane or to mark the area with explicit warnings. She saw that alone might do little. People rarely believe in ephemeral roads. Some adventurous souls might treat it as a dare. The caretaker demon might keep claiming new victims each time heavy fog descended. One last test of the caretaker's labyrinth arrived near autumn's end, when a monstrous storm battered Blackbridge. Emily felt uneasy hearing that Redwood Lane was engulfed in thick, swirling mist again. She prayed no one ventured that way. Yet a group of local high school students posted on social media about hunting for the unmarked neighborhood. Horrified, Emily tried contacting them or sending warnings, but received no reply. The hush might soon claim them. She decided she must attempt a rescue, or at least keep them from vanishing. Terrence refused to re-enter that domain. Too traumatized. Emily, lacking alternatives. Prepare alone, car loaded with extra flashlights. A small compass, though she doubted it'd help in the hush. Plus a friend on standby by phone. She drove near Redwood Lane. Seeing the swirling white, she parked, headlights revealing the same partial intersection that led to nowhere on any map. The hush weighed heavily. She steeled herself, stepped out, calling for the teens. No answer except the hush. Indeed, the caretaker demon might have already drawn them in deeper. She advanced a few yards, spotting no immediate sign of illusions. Then, in the thick fog, faint echoes of laughter. She recognized teenage voices, maybe laced with fear. She followed them, cursing her trembling heart. The hush spiked as she turned a corner. The road shifted again. Old decaying houses looming. The caretaker labyrinth had reactivated. She tried calling out. Is anyone there? Receiving distant, panicked cries. She quickened her pace, ignoring illusions flickering in the windows. In an intersection lit by a single flickering lamp, she found 3 teens, 2 guys and a girl, huddled, terrified, each pointing their phone flashlights around. They recognized Emily from her local reporting, clinging to her as the hush pressed. They insisted they'd only wanted to see if the rumor was real, but now they'd been lost for nearly an hour. Illusions messing with them. Emily urged them to follow her. She had partial knowledge. Turn away from illusions. Keep heading for the earliest intersection. But the caretaker demon likely changed the geometry again. Sure enough, the hush thickened. Illusions forming at the edges, decaying alligator shapes. A childlike figure. The caretaker wore illusions like a wardrobe. Lightning flashed overhead, revealing the caretaker's silhouette perched on a rooftop, a tall, hooded figure. The hush hammered them, forcing them to freeze. Then illusions of alligator jaws glided along the street's surface, half submerged in the swirling fog, snapping at the teens' ankles. They screamed, huddling together. Emily, summoning every ounce of nerve, shouted they had to push through. Aim for the next corner no matter what illusions. The caretaker soared down the building's side, intangible but menacing. The hush battered them. Footsteps squelched in watery mist. The teens whimpered, each step feeling like walking in quicksand. But they pressed on. The caretaker lunged, illusions swirling. Yet each time they half ignored the illusions, forging onward. The caretaker roared a silent cry, swirling the hush into near tangible force. The group's hair whipped in the intangible wind. At last, they spotted a new row of houses morphing into a more modern block. The caretaker shape let out a final silent hiss. Emily prayed that dawn or a stable environment might break the illusions. Then lightning flared again, revealing a Redwood Lane sign at the next bend. She recognized that sign, the real city. The hush receded as they crossed the boundary. Illusions dissolving, collapsing onto solid pavement. They discovered normal streetlights, passing cars in the distance. They'd made it out. The caretaker's labyrinth had lost them again. Emily guided the shaking teens to her car. None had injuries beyond scrapes and emotional shock. They told her how illusions lured them in with half-formed lights. A fleeting sense of excitement, then shifted once they realized it was real. Emily felt relieved that, this time, no one vanished permanently. She recognized the caretaker's labyrinth could be escaped if one overcame illusions or if external events, like dawn or thunder, forced the domain to recede. She reported the near miss in a small piece on her personal blog, urging the city to place a permanent blockade near Redwood Lane, along with multiple disclaimers of danger, unexplained phenomenon. Despite her pleas, official reaction was minimal. The caretaker demon or hush-laden labyrinth remained an unproven rumor. Some online readers praised her for warning them. Others ridiculed the story as contrived. The teens, though, became living testimonials that something monstrous lurked in that southwestern fog. Time passed, with no major new vanishings. Possibly the caretaker demon recognized that the city had grown more aware, or it bided time for another heavy fog. Emily quietly carried guilt for each time the hush might reappear, claiming an unwary soul. She found mild solace in Miss Harrington's encouraging words, "At least you saved those who would have disappeared." Indeed, her interventions had prevented new tragedies, this time. Years later, Emily left Blackbridge for a new opportunity in a bigger region. The caretaker demon or ephemeral labyrinth near Redwood Lane faded from her daily thoughts, though she never forgot the hush's crushing presence or the illusions that nearly trapped her and Terrence. Her blog about the neighborhood not on any map remained live, still getting sporadic comments from travelers claiming to have glimpsed hidden streets in thick fog, or from locals warning future explorers to stay away. She considered returning for a more conclusive investigation but decided self-preservation took precedence. An epilogue arrived in the form of a cryptic message posted to her blog one stormy night, many months after she moved. It read simply, "The caretaker calls again. Redwood Lane overrun with new illusions." She never confirmed who wrote it, maybe a new victim or a local tipster. But she felt a shiver reading it, recalling how unstoppable the hush felt. She posted a final pinned update: "If you see a mysterious side street in the southwestern part of Blackbridge on a foggy night, turn around. Do not proceed. Those roads lead only to illusions and a caretaker demon that does not relinquish easily. You may not find your way home again." And so the caretaker's domain endures, overshadowing the southwestern outskirts whenever thick fog descends. The hush-laden streets remain absent on any map, intangible corners that warp geometry. Locals might label it myth, but those who step inside vanish or barely escape. The caretaker demon, ancient and cunning, presumably lurks behind each half-lit window, waiting for curious footsteps. That hush is always listening. If you find yourself on Redwood Lane at midnight in swirling fog, be wary. The next intersection might slip you into a domain not of this mortal world. And once you cross that threshold, returning before dawn becomes uncertain. If the caretaker decides to keep you, the labyrinth will never let you out.